In this section, we will apply the information we have learned throughout this learning module by completing a DRA assessment together. This section has 3 videos. At the end of this section, you will have the opportunity to stop and reflect about the following question. What classroom strategies could I use to support Anita in moving forward in her reading development? Now let's look at what materials we will need to be able to practice completing a DRA assessment. To complete this section, you will need a copy of the Teacher Observation Guide for Level 18, A Giant in the Forest, as well as a copy of the Oral Reading Fluency Guideline Chart. These documents can be found within your school's DRA Toolkit or in the accompanying resources found on the ELA SharePoint site for this learning module. You will also need a pen and pencil to write down the student's answer and a timer to record the Oral Reading Fluency section. Let's take a moment to review the Teacher Observation Guide and begin to fill in some of the information in preparation for this practice assessment. During the DRA assessment, you will complete a Teacher Observation Guide for each student, and in the higher levels, there is a student booklet that accompanies the observation guides which students fill out. It is important to fill out the top part of the assessment to track and monitor students' progress within the year and from year to year. In this practice assessment, the student we will be assessing is Anita, and she is in grade 3. Last spring, she was assessed at a level 18 for instruction. So go ahead and fill out that top part now. Now you will notice the guides at each level are fairly uniform. They typically include the assessment steps, the teacher's script, a place to record students' answers, the assigned portion of text that students will read, and a place to track the oral reading fluency record. Before we jump into our practice assessment, I wanted to take a moment to talk about oral reading records, which are often called running records. Now these are great tools, and they allow us to find a lot of useful information about our students. For instance, they help us notice how our students sounds when they read. Do they read in meaningful phrases with good punctuation? You read using a good pace and appropriate intonation? They help us see if our students are monitoring and self-correcting their reading, and if they're using some of the cueing systems like meaning, structure, visual cues. Oral reading records also help us see what strategies our students are using or not using when they come to a word they don't know. So do they make an attempt, they make an appeal to us, like begging for help, or do they just stop reading altogether? Basically, running records help us see if what we're teaching is being used by our students. The information is immediate and informs our teaching decisions in planning the next steps to move our students forward. Oral reading records can be a bit tricky at first. Something that many teachers find helpful when completing their DRA is to record the audio of our students' reading and focus instead on noting students' observable behaviors during the live assessment. This way we can go back and listen to the audio recording at another time to complete the reading record. This way we can re-listen to it just in case we miss something the first time. Microsoft Teams also has an assignment feature that has made oral reading records easier and less time-consuming for teachers. This tool will be featured in an upcoming Ed Services PD session. If you're interested in attending this session, be sure to check out the Learning for All website for more information. During this practice section, don't hesitate to re-watch the video more than once when completing the oral reading record section. If you are ready, let's complete our assessment of Anita. To do this, you will need to watch the video entitled DRA2 Training, which you will find in the Apply section for this learning module on the ELA SharePoint site. While watching the video, use the video prompts to complete the DRA assessment. After completing the assessment, move on to the next video where we will walk through the scoring process.